All right, we are live on Facebook and YouTube, and our webinar is going, and we should be able to go live right now on Instagram. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to this is Doman International's fourth annual Giving Tuesday event. Let me just start off by telling you a bit about what we're going to do today, some of the exciting announcements and webinars we're going to have. This is going to be a session that is filled with information, but also we're going to be raffling off prizes, doing all kinds of fun things that we've never done before. By the way, my name is Spencer Doman. I'm the director of Doman International. I'm here with my dad, Douglas Doman, who is the founder. And let me just start by saying that Doman International is a nonprofit organization. And what we do is we empower children with special needs to accomplish the impossible. And we do that by providing their parents, by coaching their parents with holistic solutions for their children. And when we do that, when we provide parents with the right holistic solutions, we get major developmental wins with their children. And that's why over the last 70 years, we have helped tens of thousands of children with special needs learn to walk, talk, and succeed in school and life, thanks to the Doman method. And so the reason why Giving Tuesday is so important is Giving Tuesday is the most philanthropic day of the year. Many people probably know this, but in the United States, the day after our holiday of Thanksgiving is called Black Friday. Yeah, Black Friday. And Black Friday is important for businesses because it's the day that they are most profitable, right? It's the biggest shopping day of the year. Well, Giving Tuesday is the most important day of the year for nonprofits like Doman International. It's the day where donations really help us end out our year strong. And so that's why we decided to have this event. And Giving Tuesday has been phenomenal for us in the past. Do you mind talking a little bit about what Giving Tuesday has meant for Doman International in the past few years?
Well, we are part of Global Giving, and Global Giving is a nonprofit organization, an international one. I mean, one of the things that's incredible are the donations that are made by Americans are tax deductible in the United States. Donations made from people in the UK are also tax deductible in the UK, and there are other countries too, I think, where the donations are tax deductible. So there are more than 1,000 nonprofits as part of Global Giving. And I'm proud to say in the last 2 years, we have ranked number 15 and 16 in terms of the funds that we've raised on this day. And Global Giving matches those donations for all donations under $2,000 are matched last year, and I hope by this year, about 33%. So if someone gives $2,000, then we actually get $2,666, I think, which is great. And in the past, Global Giving has given us, $10,000, $12,000, $13,000 or more in terms of matching gifts. So it's wonderful.
It is. And so we've got a bit of a presentation here that we'll be pulling up throughout the day. And so if we go on to the next slide, so just to talk about a few things that we're going to be doing today, what are we going to do today that makes today special? Well, as we've said, Giving Tuesday is the most important donation day of the year. And we're going to be raffling off prizes today, specifically to people who donate. And so how can you help? Well, my colleague, Julie Mahone, who's our director of fundraising, is going to be putting in the comments box a link where you can donate through Global Giving today, which means your donation will be partially matched by Global Giving. And so that really amplifies your impact today. And so, so that's the number one thing you can do. Go to the comments box, whether you're in this webinar, whether you're joining us on social media, see if you can find the link. Okay, well, next, and by the way, if you can't find the link, just write a comment, say, I can't find the link, and Julie will help you with that. All right, so moving on to the next point. So how do you donate? Through the link. How does my donation make a greater impact? As we said, each donation is amplified today.
And only today.
And only today, yeah. If you don't make the donation before midnight, and I believe it's midnight US time, it will not be matched. All right, let's keep going, Julie. I think it's okay, Julie, if you pull up all the points here. So what's going to happen today? Well, first of all, we've got some really exciting presentations from our staff. So this is going to be an informational webinar. So just to give you some examples, we have Dr. Aravind Bagade, our Director of Nutrition and Health, who's going to be talking about myths around the Doman nutrition program and giving some helpful recommendations for parents there. Melissa Doman, who's our Mobility Director, will be talking about tips for parents regarding maintaining good sleep for their child. We're going to have a Doman mom joining Morgan Doman. And this Doman mom is going to be talking about the 3 things that she has learned on the program that has helped her be successful and stay consistent with the program. And then last but not least, we're having a graduate join us, a graduate of the Doman program to talk about his experience. And it'll be very interesting, I think, for all of you to meet that graduate. Okay, so yes, there will be prizes raffled off. And by the way, I've already seen a bunch of donations rolling in to qualify for those raffles. So I will talk about that in just a second. If it's okay, let's actually move on to the next slide. I think we've got the raffles there. Yes, the donation prizes. Okay, so first of all, we're going to be raffling off today when donations are made 3 different items. So the first item is, and by the way, these are items that we had created for this event. So you will be the first person in the world to get these. Douglas and I don't even have them. So first of all, we've got a Doman International hat. Do you mind grabbing the tote bag? So we've got this really nice tote bag that has the Doman International logo. And then on the back, it has our logo, which is the Braintree. So we'll be raffling this off today. So stay tuned as the presentation goes on. We'll tell you, how you will win those prizes. And then last but not least, we've got a Doman International t-shirt that we will be sending your way. All right. And now if we go on to
Looks like a Phillies Eagles green.
Yeah, I think it's a Philadelphia. It's a bit of an Irish green. By the way, you don't know this, but it took us probably about 30 minutes and 10 staff to pick the shade of green. So I heavily debated. Okay. And then, so keep a lookout, for these 3 prizes. We'll announce certain moments where you can become eligible and win the raffle for the prize. So we'll tell you about that. All right. If we go on, we've got some nice pictures of the prizes. And and then moving on, we have some special raffles that we are hosting today. And some of you maybe some of you showed up today just for these raffles. So any donation that you make today over $25 will make you eligible. It'll put you into a raffle to win 3 Doman Method books. So here are the 3 Doman Method books. You've got the Doman Method from Special Needs to Wellness. This is our most important foundational book for children with special needs. We've got our Answering Autism book, right, which is our foundational book for parents with children with autism and ADD. And then we've got From Immobility to Walking. This book was written by my dad, Douglas, specifically about how to bring a child from being immobile to walking and even running, skipping, jumping independently. So these are great books for you to have, but also, of course, to give away or gift to others if you already have them. Now, any donation made today over $50 puts you in a raffle to win a consultation with me. Okay, so that consultation would be a one-on-one session where I could guide you on any area of your child's cognitive, speech, or sensory development. So it doesn't matter whether your child has a special need, or if you have a neurotypical kid, we could talk about the Doman Method, early child development, and I could help you outline a plan for your child. So that's any donation made over $50. And then,
by the way, And that is a steal because the real price of that is many hundreds of dollars.
I appreciate it. And then last but not least, and this is what we've talked about the most, any donation made today over $100 puts you into the running to win a 5-day, 4-night stay at the Villa Katia in Tuscany. This is a beautiful Tuscany in Italy. Do you want to we do have a slide later to talk more about this, but you want to talk a little bit about the villa?
Yeah. So we acquired this property in 1990. It's our headquarters for our European operations. So Italian families, all European families, Middle Eastern families come to see us at this property. It's a beautiful 20-acre property on a hillside in Tuscany. It's in a green zone of Tuscany, which means there's no industry. The air is incredibly clean and pure. The water is clean and pure. The place is absolutely gorgeous. We've been there now for 34 years. This is really a no-brainer. It's not like, you're competing with 3 million people for this villa. If you compete with 100 people, which would be nice for us, you will be lucky, and you'll be even luckier. So you have a chance at having a beautiful stay in the heart of Tuscany. It's beautiful. You're an hour from Florence. You're 45 minutes from Lucca. You name it. You're in all the important places in Tuscany.
Great. So keep in mind, if you make a donation over $100 today, it makes you eligible for all 3 prizes. Okay. So just keep that in mind when you're making your donations. All right, Julie, let's go to the next slide, if you don't mind. Oh, yeah. And winners will be announced on December 16th. I host a webinar every Monday, which is called Start the Week with Spencer. We will be announcing the winners of these different raffles on that day, but we'll also, of course, be reaching out to the different raffle winners via email. Okay, well, we've talked about what those raffle prizes are. Of course, throughout this presentation, as I said, you can go ahead and make a donation, but we're going to bring in Melissa now, and Melissa's going to be talking about how to keep your sleep on track during the holidays. And Melissa is the director of mobility at Doman International. She's also a pediatric sleep consultant. And Melissa, we'll turn it over to you to teach us about sleep.
Awesome. Can you hear me okay?
Very well.
Great. Wonderful. All right. Well, first of all, thank you all so much for having me on today. And it's sleep is a topic that I love speaking about. And this time of year is particularly difficult for a lot of parents, both with kids with special needs and neurotypical kids. And whether your child's sleep is fantastic or it's not yet, we all know that the month of December is really busy and can throw a lot of things off when it comes to sleep. So I want to go over with everybody today my top recommendations to just try and keep sleep on track as best as possible during a very hectic time of the year. So the first thing that I always recommend for families is that they write a homemade book or what is called a social story for their child, just explaining like what the heck is going on, right? As a lot of parents know, and I talked to a mom just earlier today, the Christmas excitement has already started. And a homemade book is a really, really great way, first of all, to just tamper some of that excitement because, we've got 3.5 weeks before Christmas even is here. But it's also a really great way to get your child ready for the unexpected things that come around the holidays. So shifts in schedule, seeing family members that we don't get to see very often, even just the excitement of Christmas morning, we're opening all these presents and it's just a lot of craziness. So I strongly encourage you to write a homemade book or a social story for your child. If they know what's going on during the day, it can help them stay calmer, more relaxed, and will actually help them to sustain and have good night's sleep at night. And I'm putting in the comments a link to a homemade book that I've already written for the holidays. It's a template, but you can use it, you can translate it, you can adjust it however you need to help your child through the holidays. Okay, let's go to what's next, Julie. All right, the next thing is to create a countdown calendar. Now, for most kids, this is a really great way to stop the thousands of questions about like, when is Christmas coming? When is this happening? Blah, 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 blah. So just like the homemade book, that's a visual explaining to your child what changes are coming, what's going to happen, things like that. A countdown calendar is a very good, tangible way to show them, all right, we have 5 more days until grandmom comes over. We have 3 more days until Christmas is here, whatever. Now, and like I said, this is a really great way to show your child what is happening and to quell all the questions that come along with, new exciting events that are happening. All right. Now, for some kids, and why does this affect sleep? Well, this is really important because there are some kids who will ask about what's happening tomorrow. When is this happening? In a very, very, very persistent way. So if we have that visual, we can practice it during the day. And hopefully that means we get less and less questions about it and less excitement about it when it comes time to actually sleep. All right, what's next? All right, start doing sensory integration. Now, this may not seem like, it may seem kind of like an oddball recommendation, but if we think about it, during the holidays, kids are exposed to smells, tastes, sounds that they might not be exposed to on a daily basis, especially for those parents who are doing Doman method programs. I would say that, doing the Doman method is in a fairly controlled environment of being in the home in familiar places. So when we open things up to new people, new smells, new tastes, new sounds, that can be very overwhelming for a child with special needs and who has sensory processing issues. So starting now, I recommend exposing your child to those sounds, texture, smells, etc., that they may not be used to. So let me give you an example. Grandparents or aunts and whoever, or uncles who are wearing perfumes or colognes. A lot of our kids on the program might not be exposed to that. That can be very overwhelming. So you may want to start little sessions of that kind of exposure before your child comes to see grandmom or aunt or uncle or whoever. So that's number one. Different tastes, around the holidays. Granted, it's got to still be within our Doman diet. Okay, but there might be new smells, new tastes that your child is exposed to. So if you know ahead of time, like what those things might be, start exposing them to those things now, right? Even sounds, one thing you could start doing is clinking glasses together or utensils on a plate, which I know for some people makes their skin crawl, like myself. But these little things that they may not be hearing all the time, if we expose them now, they're going to be less likely to be overwhelmed by the smells, the tastes, the sounds, etc. And this may not exactly help to keep sleep on track, but it's a very good way, again, just to keep your child's system calm, regulated, and they know what to expect going into those family parties and things like that. All right, what's next? Okay. All right. So on the day of, so whether we're going to somebody's house, if we're hosting people at our house, if it's just Christmas Eve, Christmas Day itself, it's really important to have a quiet space ready for your child that day of, because no matter what we do to prepare in advance, homemade books, countdown calendars, all the sensory integration, there's still a lot of unpredictables and we don't know what we don't know, right? So having a quiet space ready that day of, if your child's starting to get a little too overwhelmed, we take them to that quiet space, we let them decompress, we let them get calm again, more relaxed before we put them back into that that kind of chaotic environment. And this is really important for sleep because it's a way for us to let some steam out of the gasket, so to speak, or to give, or on the flip side, more to give your child those times to just be like kind of relaxed and not as overstimulated. Because for a lot of parents who are watching this, chances are you probably know when we've had a very overstimulating day, it might be harder for your child to fall asleep, stay asleep. We might have earlier morning wakings. So on the day of those parties, that holiday, whatever, try to carve out a quiet physical space in the house, in the space that you're in, so that your child doesn't get too overstimulated. So that best case scenario, they're getting to sleep in the most calm and relaxed state possible. Okay. Now, during the holidays, obviously, as I've mentioned, there's a lot of unpredictable things happening, right? We're seeing new people, schedules get shifted. What we did one day is going to be completely different the next day. So the one place that we can give your child some consistency and that safety net of some predictability is in that bedtime routine. Like, so no matter what's happening during the holidays, you want to try and stick to your child's bedtime routine, whatever that may look like. Okay. Now we know that chances are bedtime routine on some nights during the holidays might start a bit later, and that's okay. That's life. That's what happens, right? But it's really important that, again, that you're sticking to all the same activities. Now, it may mean if your child's getting to bed later, they may not have all the time to do the full routine. So I suggest still doing all the steps, but just doing little mini tiny steps. So instead of doing a 10 or 15-minute bath, it might just be like 2-3 minutes, just rinse off, do it real quick, and then move on to the next thing. But having that predictability in that during the day, there's a lot of chaos, a lot of changes, a lot of unpredictability. Having that predictability in the bedtime routine is going to be really helpful for your child. Okay, next. I think I have it here, Julie. Oh, yeah. Okay, great. So in addition to that, so this is actually just kind of like a point B to the bedtime routine. One thing that I really, really love doing for my kids who have sleep issues is joint compression massage. Joint compression massage is first of all, it's a tactile stimulation. We're being hands-on. It's a proprioceptive stimulation. So again, helping to regulate that sensory system. But in the 8 years that I've been doing sleep coaching for kids with special needs around the world, joint compression massage is one of those techniques that even on the busiest, most overstimulating days, a couple of rounds of this can really help to slow down those wheels as we're getting into bedtime. So if you already have a bedtime routine and you're already a little worried that your child might get a bit overstimulated with some of the changes around the holidays, consider adding joint compression massage in the bedtime routine, and you can do it during the day as well. And the great news is that this is a very common technique. You can do a very quick YouTube search and find tons and tons and tons of good videos on how to do that joint compression massage. Okay. Now, the second to last point here, carve out a little time for yourself. I know this is way, way, way easier said than done, but for our parents out there, it's, the holidays is one thing. To have to go through the holidays as a Doman parent doing the program, it's just bonkers. Okay, I get it. So do your best, even if it's just like 5-10 minutes or whatever. Try to carve a little time out for yourself during the day. Again, it's not necessarily going to directly impact your child's sleep, but if it allows you to go through the day in a more collected, calm, whatever way, it can be really helpful. And that will speak volumes with regards to your own stress levels and what you're bringing into bedtime for yourself and for your child. Okay. And last but not least, just take it one day at a time. Like I said, this month is a crazy month for a lot of kids, a lot of families. So just take it one day at a time and soon enough, all of this craziness will be over. We can get back onto our routines, and whatever cards were thrown up in the air during the holidays will eventually come back down again, and we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming. Spence, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much, Melissa. That's incredibly helpful. And I want to say, I mean, obviously I'm biased. I'm Melissa's husband. But what I've heard from other sleep consultants, because I've gone with Melissa to sleep consulting conventions, and I'm the one person there who's not a sleep consultant, but Melissa is the world's leading expert in helping special needs children learn how to sleep independently and through the night. And that's what the sleep consultants tell me, so thanks a lot, Melissa, for joining us.
Yeah.
And also, if I can add, Melissa, I mean, your points work, pretty well for we adults, they work for us as well as kids. I mean, everything you said there, I paid attention to, and, we can all practice it, particularly during the holidays.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Melissa.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to be moving on now to our first raffle. Okay. And the way this is going to work is the next donation that is made, Julie, who's our fundraising director, through Global Giving, actually gets notifications kind of minute by minute on donations as they roll in. So for the next person who makes a donation, you will win this DII hat. You want to hold it up?
100% cotton.
Yep, hold it up over here. There we go. All right, the next donor will win this. Okay, now, one important thing that we've realized today, some people have been making donations to Doman International through Global Giving, but there is a button, which is the default button, that makes your donation anonymous. So we've been having donations rolling in throughout the day that say anonymous. And of course, if a donor wants to remain anonymous, that's fine. But we are a little worried that some people are making donations not realizing that they're making an anonymous donation. So one important thing, if you're making a donation right now, today, make sure you unclick anonymous so we can see your name. And also, if you've already made a donation today and you did not mean to donate anonymously, please reach out to us. I'll share Julie's contact info. You could send us a direct message on any social media. Just say, hey guys, I made this donation today. Want to make sure you received it. And that way we can know who that donation came from.
And it also says right on here that it's 100% adjustable.
There you go.
Whatever that means.
I think it means for people with big heads like me that.
Yeah, the adjustment in the back.
In the back. Yeah.
I thought maybe it's you bend this, but
yeah. Okay, so Julie, I will add you now. Have any donations come in yet, Julie, or should we? I can move on to the child story if we're still waiting for a donation to come in.
We are still waiting for a donation to come in.
Got it.
At the moment, the Global Giving Leaderboard has us receiving 19 different donations, totaling with matching $16,602.
Wow.
How much?
$16,602.
Wow.
That's with the matching. Very nice. All right. Thanks, Julie. We'll bring you back in a second, see if someone's made that donation yet. All right. So while we're waiting for us to give away this raffle, again, the next donation, it doesn't matter how much it's for, wins that hat. Okay. So I want to share a couple of stories. I'm going to be doing this today throughout the presentation of children who have had wins in 2024 on the Doman method. I can't tell all the stories, but I'll tell a few. So, and I'm excited to say I have videos of each of these children as well. So here we have Theodora, and Theodora's big achievement in 2024 was she learned how to walk. So despite being told that she would probably never walk after an MRI was done soon after birth, brave little Theodora took her first steps at the age of 4 this year. Theodora has been on the Doman method for several years. So she learned how to crawl first on her belly, then creep on her hands and knees, Finally, in 2024, she learned to walk. And with relentless determination and the support of the program, her family has worked tirelessly to make this happen. This was a big goal of Mom's. I do want to say Theodora's mom is a doctor herself. And we have many families on the program where parents are physicians. And so, we want to say to Theodora, your journey is a powerful reminder of what can happen with kids. When we say we want to help children accomplish the impossible, that's what we mean, right? Parents are often told your child will never do this. We want to make those predictions wrong. So let's just show a video of Theodora. This video was shot by Mom I think this was just a couple of days after her first steps. So Julie, if you don't mind clicking play.
Još, tako je. Bravo, 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 ti hodaš do mame. Ti hodaš do mame. Puno si hodala, ajde još malo. Bravo. Tako je. Hodaš kod mene.
There we go. Yeah. So
Spectacular.
Yeah, so that's Theodora taking those steps. And one of the things I love about that video is Mom is talking in Serbian, encouraging her, but you don't have to understand Serbian to know what Mom is saying. She's saying, keep going, you got it, great job, Theodora. Very, very inspiring. All right, so that is Theodora. I'm going to bring up Julie, I think we're getting the playback from the. I took off the PowerPoint. Julie, any update on the donations? Did we have a winner for the hat?
Let me see. The winner is Tim Mahone.
All right, Tim.
Wow.
All right. Very, very good. All right. So that hat will be going to Tim. Thank you, Julie. So we will be giving away 2 other raffle prizes today. So we'll be getting to those next.
It just occurred to me, Theodora, when I hear that name, I think of Theodore. That's, the translation into English. But if you look at it from an Italian and maybe from a Latin standpoint, te means you, adora, I think means adore. So maybe it means adore you, because she's certainly adorable.
Adorable. Oh, I never thought about that, but that makes sense. Okay, let's go on to the next slide, Julie. And I think we have another presentation coming up. Yes, we do. All right, so now I'm going to be bringing up Dr. Aravind. Dr. Aravind is our Director of Nutrition and Health. And Dr. Aravind, in addition to being our Director of Nutrition, is also a co-author on this book. I'm just going to bring us up so we can see ourselves. There we go. He's the author of this book called the Doman Cookbook, Nutritional Excellence for Your Child. This book has many important guidelines on how to give your child an excellent nutrition program, which is important for basically every part of child development, from helping your child be healthy, to improving focus and concentration, to improving brain function and speech development, and improving behavior. Diet can do so much for kids. And one of the best things about this book is there are 150 recipes in it that adhere to our guidelines, to the nutritional guidelines.
And it's equally beneficial to, of course, our brain injured children. It was written for them, but it's also equally beneficial for well brothers and sisters and neurotypical children also.
So let's see if Dr. Aravind, are you here with us?
Yes.
There you are. Perfect. All right. So first of all, thanks so much for joining us. Dr. Aravind right now is in India, so he's joining us late in the evening, his time.
Showing how international Doman International is.
So, Dr. Aravind, we'll let you take it from here.
Sure. Thank you so much, Spencer. Thanks, Douglas. I want to welcome everyone to this event. This is indeed a really great day because we are seeing the wins of kids. We are presenting it to so many parents to motivate them, and we're also coming up with some of the tough questions on different aspects of sleep, mobility, cognition, and nutrition. So my job will be to bust the myths of nutrition, especially the Doman method nutrition, which I commonly get to answer in most nutrition question answer sessions and consultations. So let me start with the first myth, which also makes many parents very skeptical as to whether they are ready to start the program or not. And that is the Doman diet being too restrictive for children. So this is because of the fact that the parents get to know about the principles of nutrition, which most parents may not be aware of, because not all parents are educated in the aspects of nutrition, health, and stuff. So it can be quite overwhelming after they do the online Doman method course. And that may also make them feel that the diet can be very restrictive. And if we are unable to do it, then probably the program is not going to work. Can we have the next slide, please, Julie? Yeah. So the reality is that the Doman diet isn't too restrictive as we think it is, because in spite of us having many gluten, grains, and dairy products eliminated from the diet, we still have a minimum of at least 9 grains, 30 vegetables, 15 protein sources, and 5 fat sources. Even if we are very conservative and just want to use these ingredients, that can still let us have at least 3 to 4 days rotational program wherein we don't repeat the ingredients at least for 3 days after they are used. So we also have made the job of parents easier by posting many recipes on our blog posts in the website. We also have a resource folder for parents with a week's nutrition plan, which is completely Doman friendly, written by the departmental staff of Doman International. So the myth of Doman diet being very restrictive is not actually a fact. It is it's something that the parents feel that the child might miss out something. Usually parents ask me the question, my son or daughter might miss added salt in the diet, or maybe a fruit juice or dairy products. But in fact, your child cannot miss something which your child isn't introduced to, right? If I'm introduced to something and I have it for a long time, and then I am deprived of that, I might feel that I'm no more getting it. But right from the beginning, if you are following a Doman friendly diet, then your child will be definitely having all the needed ingredients for neurodevelopment, anti-inflammatory diet, and gut health friendly. And the child has no way of missing out ingredients, especially those that are very important for physiology. So can we have the next slide, please? So the myth 2 is the other important aspect that most parents have in their mind, that the Doman diet, when started, will lead to weight loss and nutritional deficiencies, because we are all told, through social media and pharma companies and the conventional way of delivering information, that the only complete food is milk, or wheat products, or fruit juices. Having fruit juice in the breakfast is a way of giving additional nutrients and antioxidants and stuff like that. So that kind of advertisement has led to the mindset of people that if our child is being deprived of this, then probably the child is not getting enough nutrients, and my child will be deprived of micronutrients or even complete proteins, and there'll be weight loss. But this is actually a myth, because when we eliminate major ingredients which are in the diet, especially dairy and gluten, which starts with as a first step of a weaning program from breastfeeding, the child starts to put on a lot of weight because there are loads of additional calories, not just needed amino acids, proteins, and fatty acids and carbohydrates, but a lot of additional calories that gets into the system. The child starts to look very chubby. But when we start to eliminate the things that we don't want, and we reintroduce a lot of healthy alternatives, of course, the additional calories which comes from which was coming from the dairy and gluten-based products will be cut out. So in the initial phase, we do see a bit of downward curve in terms of weight, but that eventually picks up as we get good with the rotational and elimination diet plan, and we start building up lean muscle mass, bone mineral density, and not just pumping a lot of additional sugars and fats to make the child look chubby. So that is the actual fact. Next slide, please. So the reality is that the elimination diet that we advise is a gradual one. So immediately after doing the Doman method course, you're not stopping all the ingredients from tomorrow. That is not the right way of doing it. It has to be gradual. And I would actually say that it is not an elimination diet, but mostly a replacement diet, because we are replacing food categories that are currently there in the diet with something else which is more beneficial from a neurodevelopmental standpoint. So until and unless we find the alternatives and we find a balance of how we can make this transition in a tandem fashion, we are not doing the elimination diet. It might take a few weeks to months to accomplish the elimination diet, and that has a lot of other aspects to it. So you are eliminating in an order where the first food to be eliminated is not something your child is very fond of. So if your child is very fond of dairy products, you're not starting with dairy elimination. You'll be starting with maybe added sugars, or maybe soy products or GMOs, something like that. So there is a way in which the elimination diet is done, and that is explained by our nutritionists during the consultations. So so that the child can have a sustained weight improvement in height and weight, and there is no weight loss that's happening when this transition is going on. And then the most important aspect of the Doman diet is the priority that we give for specific ingredients. So we need to concentrate on making every meal nutritionally balanced with proteins, complex carbohydrates, and healthy fats, and not just thinking of a meal as some ingredient that fills the stomach, like a bowl of fruits or just an oatmeal. We may not consider that as a complete meal, and nutritional deficiencies start because of such incomplete meals. So knowing the difference between what is an actual meal and what is a snack is very important when planning elimination diet, and that's what the emphasis will be on when parents are trained and educated on these lines. And it's also not a very generic plan that we give to all the families. What you learn in the Doman method course are the basics of nutrition program. For example, there are some elimination diets which are solely based on testing, like food intolerance testing, and dietary, what we call as dietary antigen testing. So we check what ingredients can be inflammatory, and we eliminate them in an order, and then reintroduce them after some time. So there are ways in which we do this, and it's not an abrupt thing. So the last myth, the diet is only for children with developmental challenges. As Douglas rightly pointed out when showing the book of the Doman Method cookbook, this is not a diet only for children with neurodevelopmental issues. This is a book which is for everyone. There are many parents who have started the diet with their children, and they have reported in the next consultation how they are now so energetic. They don't need that much sleep anymore to be active. They find so light, energetic, motivated to do work, and and also the other children in the family can have a lot of wins in terms of health, growth and development, and better immunity. So it's not just a book or a method that is only for neurodevelopmental challenge related kids, but it's for everyone, I would say. And the nutritional staff in the Doman International Institute, they get to try these diets before they advise it to families. So we really know how it feels when we are on an elimination diet. So I think the key is in bringing a nutritionally balanced meal for the child and for the entire family. And that is done by trained nutritionists in the institute. So I hope that was very helpful for families. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Spencer and Douglas, for giving me an opportunity to speak on this.
Well, thanks so much for joining us, Aravind. We really appreciate it. And I will just one last time, I'll hold up the book so that everyone can see it. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, here's the Doman Cookbook. It's available on Amazon. It's called The Doman Cookbook, Nutritional Excellence for Your Child, written by Dr. Aravind, our Director of Nutrition and Health. All right. Well, moving on, for everyone who's joining us late, so today is Giving Tuesday. It's our #1 philanthropic day of the year. This is the day where nonprofit organizations like Doman International get the donations that we need to finish out the year strong. And the great thing is any donation made today is partially matched by global giving. And so whether you're joining us in this webinar or on social media, you will see a link where you can click on it. It'll bring you to global giving. You can make a donation, which will be partially matched. And Julie, could you just, I'm going to add you to the stage. Julie, how much right now how much matching donations have we received today?
Let's see.
It's a pretty good amount.
So far, $6,478.
Wow. So that everyone, that's not the donations we've received today. That's the matching donations. So anyway, that's fantastic. Thank you to everyone who's given so far. Something that I also said was that a lot of the donations we've received today are anonymous donations. And we know from experience, only a few of our donors will give anonymously. Most of the time, because we know our donors, they might be families who have done our program or friends. Most of the time we see the donors' names. So what we realized was global giving has a default button where the default is to donate anonymously. And we think a lot of our donors meant to actually let us know who they are, but it says anonymous. So 2 things. When you make your global giving donation, please make sure to uncheck that box that says anonymous donation. And the second thing is, if you've already given today, especially because we want to include you on the raffles that we're hosting, reach out to us, send us a message, say, hey, that was me who donated this amount. Message us on social media, send Julie an email. Julie, actually, if you type your email address into the chat box, I'll throw it up on the screen for people.
Yeah, we have about 9 donors who have donated anonymously.
Okay.
So over the next couple of days, you'll receive a thank you email. And I will put in that email if it shows that you're anonymous. So look out for that global giving email. If you are anonymous, it will say it in that.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Julie.
Yeah.
And then Julie, once you put your email in the chat box, I'll kind of share it up on the screen.
So,
there it
Julie,
is. Yeah.
If
Okay.
people have given the donation and they want to unanonymous it, can they do that, or it's too late?
I don't believe there's a feature to take that back.
So they'd have to reach out to us and tell us.
Correct. Yeah. You'd have to contact me and I'd have to assign you a donation from the list of ones that are anonymous, and we can go from there.
Yeah. And listen, we know some people like to give anonymously, but we like to know who the people are so we can thank you. So yeah, please, if you gave and you might have donated anonymously by accident, please reach out to us. You see Julie's email right there. Just go ahead and shoot her an email.
Or you can just give us another donation and make
That's
it anonymous.
that's fine. Yeah.
That's easier. That's great.
Okay. I am going to pull up the PowerPoint. There we go. Okay, so we are having our second raffle of the day. The next donation that is sent to Global Giving, starting right now, the winner, the person who makes the next donation will win this Doman International tote bag. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, go ahead and make a donation and the next donor will win this tote bag. Now, while we're waiting for that next donation, I'm going to tell you a story of another child, another kid who had some major developmental wins this year. So before we had Teodora from Serbia, now we have John from India. John is a vibrant 3-year-old boy who has been diagnosed with autism, ADD, and hyperactivity. And he's thriving since he started the program in the last year. So in 2024, John, when he started the program, spoke 30 words, which, as you can imagine, for a 3-year-old is very limited vocabulary. Now he's saying over 1,000 words, and he's speaking in sentences, which is, of course, a very remarkable achievement, a dream come true for so many parents. A part of this huge growth in his comprehension and speech development has been his Doman reading program, which helped give him his voice. It's really helped him speak. Parents noted that the more words they showed him in the reading program, the more he said those words and his speech became more spontaneous. So,
and Spencer, if I can say, this is a very common result of our neurodevelopmental program. I was just doing an Italian webinar before this webinar, and this is a family that has just taken our Doman method course, so they're just starting the program, but they had read my father's book, How to Teach Your Baby to Read, and they had used that to teach their 3-year-old brain-injured child to read, and the child is now 5, loves to read, and has been doing that for 2 years. But his language was then turned on once they started the reading program.
Mm-hmm. So we've got a video on the next slide of John learning to read. And I'll just say one thing before we show the video. So in this video, you're actually going to see John at his second visit at Doman International this year. This is during our visits in India. And so you're going to see, this was done during an evaluation. The evaluation is the first part of a Doman International appointment. He was evaluated by his staff coach, Jagjit Kaur. Jagjit is a member of our cognitive development team, and she's also our regional director in India. And so you're going to get to watch this video of Jagjit evaluating John's reading. Keep in mind, John is 3 years old.
And before we start, let me mention that we now have incorporated in the Republic of India Doman International Charitable Fund. This is a nonprofit organization like Doman International here in the United States. It's our entity in India, and it's opening now. And of course, that's wonderful for Indian families and families around India.
Wonderful. So let's go on to, let's watch the video of John reading.
Okay, can you give me eating? Good job. Can you give me little? Excellent. Can you give me down? Good job. Can you give me toes? Okay, funny. Best.
Very good. Good job.
Good job. Very good.
Yeah. So that, what's really impressive about that video, I know for most people, they'll just watch that and go, wow, I can't believe a 3-year-old with autism can read. And that on its own is amazing. But for me as a Doman method coach, the thing actually that's most impressive to me is even when he has 6 choices put out in front of him, he can differentiate the words. Because many children, even well neurotypical kids, when many things are put into their visual field, they can get kind of lost by it, right? There are so many distractions. And yet John is so focused which, as many people know, is a common symptom of children diagnosed with autism. It's often challenging for them to concentrate and focus. It's a symptom of their brain injury. But you can see John not only is a great reader, he is fully focused and concentrated on what he's doing in that session. So that's a remarkable achievement.
It's a wonderful thing, but it's also, from our standpoint, not at all surprising. We've been doing this with autistic children for decades. So we had autistic 3-year-olds in the 70s, in the 1960s, doing the same thing. So it's extraordinary for outside the world, but it is not extraordinary for us. In fact, if you have a child who has been diagnosed as autistic, and by the way, we disagree with that diagnosis, as we explain in our book, Answering Autism. If you don't have a 3-year-old autistic child reading and loving it in 6 months of our program, we will be very unhappy, and your child will be an outlier. Yeah. So that's how typical it is.
Yeah, yesterday I did a question and answer session for our Doman method course, and one of the moms had started the reading program in the last month while she was taking the course, and her child was already reading. So it's
and by the
remarkable.
Way, we mentioned that your ADHD, hyperactive, autistic children, but if your child has cerebral palsy, another diagnosis we disagree with, and he's not reading in 6 months, we're also going to be very unhappy. Or if you have a trisomy 21 Down syndrome child who's not reading at 3 in 6 months, we're going to be unhappy. So, I mean, this is typical for all of our children with neurological problems.
Oh yeah, getting children to read is one of the easiest achievements in terms of helping kids with their development. So I brought Julie back. Julie, I'm wondering, do we have a winner on the tote bag?
We do. Giselle Cologne.
Oh, Giselle Cologne. Okay. All right. So Giselle, you will be receiving this tote bag in the mail. Wonderful. All right. Julie, do you want to give us an update on donations?
Yeah, so we are currently 17th place.
Okay.
And we have raised $21,073 between 24 individual donors.
Wow. Okay, wonderful. Now, Julie, weren't we in 15th place 2 years ago and 16th place last year?
We were. That is correct.
Okay, so we did not end in 17th place.
Oh,
we've got to be 14 or up this year, everyone. So please, every donation can help us creep up. We got to be 15.
Well, we did come from 29th place, so we have moved up.
We have moved up. You're right. Yeah. Okay, so Julie, I guess I'm just looking at our schedule to see what's next. Could you pull up? Oh, I guess I need to pull up the next slide. Let me pull that up. Could you go to the next slide, Julie?
Can you give?
Move
past that.
We should have a video of Glenn Doman that we are.
Oh, great. Okay. Is that available? Yeah, because you're right. There should be a video of
there
Glenn.
Should be a video there.
Maybe click to the next. Oh, okay. Maybe we lost the video.
It's possible.
It's possible. Okay. All right.
Well, if we get it back, I'd just like to say that Glenn Doman was my father, the founder of the Doman method, which he began in 1955, but began developing it right after he came back from Europe in the Second World War in 1945. And he and his great mentor, the great genius, Dr. Temple Fay, who held the chair of neurosurgery and neurology at Temple University Medical School here in Philadelphia, they were already developing the method from 1945 until 1955. And of course, he is Spencer's grandfather.
So, Julie, here's my question for you. Is it possible? Oh, okay. I see you're having some challenges with the presentation. Let me see. I might be able to pull it up myself.
I believe I have it now.
You have it? Okay.
Let me know if you see it.
All right, I see a presentation. Perfect. I guess this is the video. Okay, so actually, we've got 2 videos of Glenn Doman to show you. And let me tell you about this video first. So, because the 2 videos are interconnected. Both of these are, this is some rare footage that was shot of my grandfather, Glenn Doman. This first video is actually him showing a child how to walk under Glenn's ladder, which is a creation of Glenn Doman's and is the most important tool used in the Doman method to help children learn to walk. Would you like to maybe just talk for a second about Glenn's ladder, about its importance?
Yeah. So my father was a physical therapist, and he had started working with brain injured children using the typical therapies, which, by the way, are pretty much still in use today. I mean, there's not much progress, actually tiny amount of progress in the field of physical therapy for brain injured children. But he began using the methods with all of his heart and soul, and the results were unacceptable to the parents, and they were unacceptable to him. And so that's why he began to look for other ways where the children could be benefited. Now, he realized that with the conventional methods, the problem is that they attempt to treat the symptoms. And of course, you cannot treat symptoms and expect the root cause, the brain injury, to go away. That's why the conventional methods don't work. So he and Dr. Fay realized they had to treat the actual brain itself. So from 1945, they began to only look for methods and create methods to grow the brain itself, the sensory pathways into the brain, one-way streets into the brain, vision, auditory and tactility, and then the motor pathways, mobility, language, and manual competence. And so they started the process of developing those programs. We're continuing them to this day.
So let's watch. And by the way, in this video, Glenn is teaching, I believe, a 9-year-old boy named Danny how to use Glenn's ladder to learn how to walk. All right, let's watch it.
Yeah, Danny was one of the first children.
All right now. Once more. Can you do it again? Put this hand here, Dan. That's the way. Now put your feet underneath of you. Now listen to me, Dan. I'm going to let go of you. All right? Okay? I'll be here, but I'm going to let go of you. Now nobody's going to hold you, okay? Now you do it. Put a hand there. That's it. Now the other one. Now, whoa. Careful now. Now do it again, Dan. All by yourself. Now I'm not holding you, so be careful. All right? Turn around, Dan. Hold on and turn around.
Like I'm walking.
I got this. Easy.
Wow.
I think maybe, just maybe, we've finally found the answer for which we've been searching the world. We've got Danny Bell walking with his weight suspended from his hands on an overhead ladder, Art. Art, yesterday, for the first time in my life, I saw an apatoid moving with gravity on his side. For the first time, instead of gravity sucking his body down to the earth by his own weight, now walking, holding on by his hands overhead, for the first time, gravity is using his weight to straighten his body.
So yeah, that's, and now I'm going to show you after Douglas and Rosalind's presentation, where they're going to be discussing 8 brilliant things that Glenn Doman said. We're going to look back at another video, check back in with Glenn Doman and Danny in another filmed scene.
Yeah, that child's name was Danny Bell.
Wow.
And
Good
of
memory.
course, he was not the first child. There were hundreds more in 1968 when he developed the overhead ladder. There was another child that we talk about who was actually the first, and I was lucky enough to be there because that child is about my age, and he graduated from our program after he learned to walk, with a child with severe cerebral palsy. He came to us immobile. We got him crawling. We got him creeping. We got the breakthrough with him of walking. And then eventually he graduated and, became a lawyer. So a complete, success story. But now there are thousands of children, I'm not exaggerating, thousands of children all over the world that using Glenn's ladder have learned to walk independently for the first time. And they've been 2-year-olds, they've been 10-year-olds, they've been 20-year-olds. I remember even a 32-year-old who had been immobile his entire life, who learned to walk independently under the overhead ladder.
All right. Well, now we have Rosalind Doman, who's joined us. Rosalind is the clinical director of Doman International, and she's also my mom. So
She's also my wife.
There you go. So now you get the idea of the whole family tree. And so I understand the two of you are going to be talking about 8 brilliant ideas from Glenn Doman. I think the hard thing about this presentation was choosing only 8 things and not doing more. All right, you want to get started?
Okay, so every child, now this doesn't mean just brain injured children, this means all children, neurotypical children and brain injured children at the moment of birth have a greater potential intelligence than Leonardo da Vinci ever used. Now, my father said this and taught this, and he used Leonardo da Vinci as, one of his favorite geniuses. He loved to learn about geniuses, and Leonardo, of course, because it happened 500 years ago, was this incredible genius, not to mention an artist as well, an engineer, a military engineer as well, just a great genius. So this is to illustrate the incredible potential that all children have. And of course, we have been demonstrating this since the founding of the Doman method in 1955. We have been doing it now with more than 40,000 brain injured children and adults, and hundreds of thousands of babies who have been on the Doman method as well. So the method appears to split into 2 for children who are neurotypical and children who have neurological issues. But the fact of the matter is, they're all children, and there's just simply a gradual continuum from the abilities of a child whose brain has been injured, going up to average, and then going beyond average to being well above average, which is what our program for the neurotypical children is all about. But even those brain injured children have incredible potential not to be just average. As my father learned in 1963, when he taught severely brain injured 3-year-olds how to read independently, proving the incredible potential that brain injured children have. And of course, you've seen the video proving that, but there are thousands literally of videos showing that exact same process.
So the next point is function determines structure. I love this one. He said it always at the initial lecture that he gave on the program, the basis of the Doman method. And for him, he would try to explain it in terms of muscles at first. And he always indicated that a weightlifter is a weightlifter not because he picks up heavy weights, but because he picks up heavy weights, he has great muscles and he's a weightlifter. So it's not the opposite. Muscles are created by lifting weights. You're not born with big muscles and then you go on to lift weights. It's the other way around. And in our program, we always see this, that we could take an immobile child who may not even have hip sockets because they have not moved at all. And we see their hip sockets develop over time. Why? They're functioning, they're crawling, they're creeping. And this is exactly what Glenn would say. I see it a lot, not in, well, I see it in hips, but what I love to see is that when we put a child walking for the first time, you know, if a child's 2 or 3, has never stood, he has tiny feet, really tiny feet. And then they start walking and they function, they use their feet, and you see their feet grow madly. So brain-injured children, if they're not functioning, their structure will be smaller, chest will be smaller. And Glenn always talked about this. It's really the solid foundation of our Doman Method program. Okay, I have the next one. I took that one as my favorite. Motivation is a product of success. You know, whenever Glenn said something, he would say it 3 times so that you would truly get the point. So motivation is a product of success, and truly it is. Motivation is a product of success. It's in his original book, What to Do book, chapter 25. Why do I know this chapter? Because I read it very often. It is beautiful. So if you really look up motivation, they will make it into a psychological problem. And this would drive Glenn crazy because it's not a psychological problem at all. And if I sat with him, a mother might have said to him, you know, how can I motivate my child? And I get the same question now. But at that point, he would say, you're coming up with the answer, because the answer is in the I. How can I motivate my child? It's not some intrinsic thing that your child's born with, but it's something that you have to do. So if you make your child successful, if you create success, if you create reward, he will be motivated. On the other side, as he always said, if if things are a failure, if he thinks things are not good, if he thinks he's not winning, then he will not be successful. So it's in the mother to create the motivation. We saw it 45 years ago. Our mothers truly are the best coaches in the world because they understand how to motivate.
Okay, so our next point here is to trust, always trust that mothers know best. Now, this is, one of the very radical ideas of the Doman method, and it has been incorporated into our work from the very get-go. As a young physical therapist and as part of a medical team, which would have a pediatrician, a neurosurgeon, a neurologist, Glenn learned early on that professionals tend to look down their noses at mothers, particularly the mothers of special needs children, basically thinking these people are uneducated, they don't know about special needs, and of course we professionals are the experts. Well, my father never bought that for a second, and he listened to mothers, and we listen to mothers, and we will never stop listening to mothers because mothers know their children better than anybody else in the world. So if we want to get to know a child and design the best program to develop him from a neurological standpoint, we need to listen to mother and what she has to say. And of course, dad as well. Some dads, they're improving, I'm happy to say, but we're still not in the same league with mothers. So we listen to mothers and they help us. We listen and we pay attention to them. And then we develop new programs based on the needs that mother has told us that, what her child needs. And if we are not meeting those needs, with rapid enough progress, we listen to our mothers, and that motivates us to find better ways to grow and develop the brain. Rosalind, would you like to add anything there?
Nope.
Okay, now this, of course, is something that really is only well understood by members of our staff and, of course, our parents around the world. There is no correlation between brain injury and intelligence, but there is a huge correlation between brain injury and the ability to express intelligence. So I'd like to punt that to you if I can.
Yeah,
Spencer.
absolutely. I love talking about this subject. So what does this mean? It means that there's really no relationship between intelligence and brain injury, meaning that, you know, it's all very often assumed by professionals that children with special needs are not smart. It's just a common assumption, and that's usually because they don't speak well, and that's very destructive. And I'll get to that in a second. The real issue is not that these children have a lack of intelligence, but rather this problem of the ability to express intelligence. So there is a huge correlation between brain injury and the ability to express intelligence. How do we express our intelligence? Well, mainly through speaking or through moving our body or using our hands. These are all motor abilities. And these tend to be very difficult for kids with special needs. But children with special needs are often highly intelligent, and sometimes in our experience, even more intelligent than average kids. Because often for them, you know, if you're a kid who cannot speak, cannot move, learning is a survival skill, right? One of the few ways that you can make it is by being above average in terms of intelligence. And so very often these children take in information faster than other kids and are highly intelligent. And that's why we have things like an early reading program, an early math program, where we teach children with special needs at very young ages all kinds of remarkable abilities.
Thank you. Okay, learning is an inverse function of age. This is, you know, so obvious. And of course, the example he used, you know, having been a GI in the Second World War, you know, being in combat in France, Belgium, Luxembourg, Germany, Czechoslovakia. Of course, there were children, there were, you know, 2, 3-year-old, 4-year-old children who were learning English because of the GIs around. These were French children, you know, German children, Slovakian children, and they learned it. No one was teaching them. They weren't having classes. They were just around GIs listening and picking up a language. So anybody who's lived in a foreign country knows that little children will pick up foreign language very, very rapidly. You know, he used himself as an example, but I can use myself as an example as well. I went to a very fine private school, and I had 4 years of French. And, you know, I can't order a glass of ice water in French. So much for the American system of, you know, teaching languages. Whereas, you know, any 3-year-old, 4-year-old, you know, will conquer a language in no period of time at all. So learning is an inverse function of age. The brain grows explosively from birth to age 6. And then after 6, it levels off. This is for the neurotypical child. But for our brain injured children, because their neurological age remains young, they will continue often to learn very rapidly at later ages as well.
So next, never leave the wounded behind. And Glenn often talked about this, especially in his family lecture. But it actually came from his time when he was in the Army, that no matter what happened or who got hurt, you never left anyone behind who was hurt. You would always take them off the battlefield. I happened to look this up. Where did it come from? Where did it first come from? And looking at that, they did say it was something from the Marines and the Army, just like Glenn would say. And he would often refer to, in a family unit, you just never, it's a family unit. You work together as a team and you never leave somebody who's hurt behind. So I also saw that after they talked about, and on Google, about the Army and the Marines, there's a book that's written, Never Leave the Wounded Behind. Very interesting. But below that is a blog. And it was a blog written by my daughter, which I forgot she wrote, about never leaving the wounded behind. I started crying because it was about my family. It was about Douglas and myself doing the program with her. She had a neurological problem, couldn't read, language was not good. So we really did a program for a while. I had to laugh because she said the best part of her day was when her father read to her. And the rest of the program, mother just did with her. So my part of the program all day long was okay, but the best part was being read to by Dad. But she did say that we never gave up on her. We did as much as we could in a very fun way, but we always made sure that the program got done. And then she ended by saying, my grandfather always said, never leave the wounded behind. But it was my parents who taught me what that meant. So I had to say it. And it really, if you Google it, it's number 5, which is very impressive. Okay.
All right. Let me pull up. Well, I think we had one more point there, Julie. Could we go back to there we go. Number 8.
Yeah, I mean, this is really self-apparent. Mothers brought us from the Stone Age to the Age of Reason. Professionals brought us from the Age of Reason to the Atomic Age. So this was my father's way of saying that evolution and history have proven that mothers took us, obviously, from the Stone Ages, which was not an easy time, to the Age of Reason, which, of course, the birth of the United States, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, were all written by people, who were living during the Age of Reason. Then, professionalism, as it's considered now in medicine, brought us from there to the Atomic Age, where we human beings will be lucky if we manage to survive this age.
Yeah, a mom wouldn't create nuclear weapons. That's the truth. Okay, well, thank you very much for the ideas of Glenn Doman. So, okay, we're going to move on now to the next. We've got a quick follow-up video here of my grandfather, Glenn Doman. You're going to see him here with Danny, that same boy that you saw in the first video who was learning how to walk under the ladder we now call Glenn's ladder in honor of Glenn Doman. And here you're going to see Danny's newfound ability of walking. Again, this is rare footage of Glenn Doman.
Mr. Valhai. I hear things have been different in your house since you got the ladder. Where's Danny?
Oh, we have a surprise for you.
There you go.
Get your balance first.
Hey, kid, that's pretty good. What a surprise. How do you like to be a walker?
Pretty good.
Do you? After 109 years of getting treated, now you're a walker, huh? 9. Wow.
That's the best surprise all day, I must say.
That's the best surprise all day, Danny. You think that stuff works, that ladder stuff?
Yeah.
Do you? When you're ready, start attacking toward me. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There you go.
I love the shot there of the mom at the end and her reaction to to Danny walking.
Yeah, and there's no mention there that Danny had learned to read on our program and intellectually was way above average.
Well, my grandfather being joking around said to Danny, "Oh, it's taken you 109 years," and Danny corrected him and said 9. Just to make sure that we got it right. Okay, let's go on to the next slide. So next we're giving away we have another quick prize that we're going to be giving away. So like I said, we have these different prizes. Morgan, could you hand me the shirt? I think it's fallen there. So we're giving away another shirt to the next donor. The next person who donates on our global giving page, we will give them this brand new Doman International t-shirt. It doesn't matter the amount that you donate. It's just whoever gets in that next donation will win this shirt. So go ahead. The link for donation, whether you're joining us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, the donation link is there for you. So while we're waiting for that next donation to come in, we will move now to Morgan Doman and Katie, she's here. Yeah. So what I will do, I'm going to take down the presentation.
100% cotton, by the way.
All right. We're going to get up and make way for Morgan, and I'm going to add Katie here. Hi, Katie. Let's see if we can. Hi. There you are. You want to sit here, Morgan? Here,
Hi, everyone.
I'll give you there you are.
Hi, Katie. It's so good to be here today. So yeah, my name is Morgan Doman, and could you pull this? My name is Morgan Doman, and I have the honor of getting to run the Doman Parent Support Group. And it's really about giving mothers and fathers a safe space to come and share and just have a community around doing this program. I was a child that did this program with my mother, as she told you earlier, and it's really easy to become isolated and just feel alone when you have a child with special needs. And so I don't want that. I am on a mission for mothers to be at their best when they're doing the program, not at their worst. Because that's what your kid needs. Kids need moms who are healthy and living their best life. So Katie Hardwick is joining me here today, and Katie is so special because she doesn't just have one child on this program; she has 2 kids on this program, and even more of incredible thing is that they both started walking. And Katie, do you want to share just a little bit about where your boys are now?
Yeah, sure. So we started the program back in 2020, and when we first started, both boys were completely immobile. So for both boys to be now walking and Alfie now starting to run is absolutely incredible. Both boys are able to read, communicate through a choice board and facilitate communication. Alfie started saying a few single words, understanding simple instructions. So they've come so far, and it's all down to following in the Doman program. It's been amazing.
Yeah, there's not a lot of mothers can say they got their kids walking, but I don't know of any besides you who can say they got 2. So it is really you've done an amazing job. So Katie and I got together and we kind of brainstormed what are 3 things that make certain parents successful at doing this program. These are mostly based on her own experience and certainly what I have seen in the Doman Parent Support Group and when I talk to mothers. So the first one was making time for yourself. So Katie, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you had to start making time for yourself?
Yeah, sure. I mean, to start with, you're putting in so much time and effort, and it's very easy to forget about yourself, but it's so important to make that time for yourself, whether it's going for a walk or having a specific hobby, just making that little bit of time for yourself half an hour to an hour a day is so vital for your own mental well-being, to be able to sustain doing it as well.
Yeah, it's so true. I think, like, I always think of that analogy, like, put your own oxygen mask on first.
Yeah.
And mothers and fathers that do that, I think a lot of people can think, oh, I have to sacrifice everything. But even just finding 5-10 minutes, like you're saying, gives you so much energy, you know, and it can mean all the difference, and also mean that you just have a happier life in general.
Yeah, you can, you know, whether it's going out for a walk, when you come back in, you've got a fresher outlook on things, and you can start again, and you know, you're happier in yourself, you know, and you've got more energy. So it's so important.
Absolutely. Well, number 2 is not stress about the small stuff, you know, not getting upset when the day doesn't go perfectly, because after all, most people doing this program are doing it with kids, and kids, they have their own agenda. They have their own, you know, whatever they want to do that day is what they're going to do. And so mothers and fathers who are really type A perfectionists, especially, they just can't handle it not going perfectly, and they get so hard on themselves. They're so mean, honestly, to themselves when things don't go perfectly and they don't get 100% done. But it's really counterintuitive being that hard on yourself. I think a lot of people think, oh, no, I want excellence, and so I have to be super hard on myself. But at the end of the day, it's so demotivating, you know, to have someone in your head going like, I can't believe you didn't get everything done, or whatever. So tell us a little bit about how you don't stress about things not going perfectly. Like, what do you tell yourself? What is like, yeah, what do you do?
Yeah, I think, you know, back in the early days, I was very much that way, but I've learned over time that, you know, like you've said, children are children at the end of the day. They may be sick, they may be tired, you may have appointments, things might not run as smoothly as you plan for that day. But I always tell myself at the end of the day, I've done the best I can. You know, I've done as much of the program as I possibly can, and there's no point beating myself up over it. I know that I've done the best for my children, and I think that, you know, you've got to be kind to yourself. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, I think as well, and this kind of goes into our number 3, which is celebrate every win, the small and the big. So tell us a little bit about that one, because I feel like the two are so intertwined, actually, because a lot of parents who get so hard down on themselves, they also don't enjoy the wins and the success that they have and the results that they're seeing right in front of them.
Yeah, I think, you know, everyone's wanting that big win, you know, walking, talking. But I think, you know, it's quite easy to forget all the very small steps that lead up to that big win. So, you know, the amount of time that it's taken, and the amount of obstacles, and how hard your child's worked to get to that point, you know, all those small, you know, take for instance crawling over obstacles, and then getting up to creep, and then, you know, going on to walking. It's all the small things in between that we should really celebrate as well.
Yeah, it's like nothing is built overnight, and I think that, you know, getting a child walking who has a diagnosis like cerebral palsy or a genetic disorder that means they're not going to walk, whatever it is, there are so many diagnoses, stroke. It's so easy to go, I just want my kid to walk. I just want my kid to walk. But even for a child who's born without all that stuff, it takes them the time to walk. And so we have to give children time. And I think so many parents want to see results today, tomorrow, and that's valid. I love that. I think it's a great motivation to keep working really hard. But at the same time, it's the little things, like you're saying, that get your kid walking. It's the little steps along the way. And the more you celebrate that and internalize it, then you feel like you're a success, because you are, you know. I'll never forget, I was with a family, and Melissa was there, and they were asking questions, and they said, so now that our child's crawling, when is she going to start creeping? And it was like, this is a child who never, was way behind in mobility. And it was such a great example. Even Melissa said to them, he's like, well, they need to crawl a lot, right? Because that's the next step. And I think it's such a good point of like, it's easy to want to be a million miles ahead, but just being in this moment and celebrating this moment, it just makes everyone happy. And I think kids really feed off that energy as well. I'm sure, do you see that? Like when you're positive, your kids are more positive and more willing to do things?
Yes, definitely. They definitely pick up on your negative energy.
Yeah.
So
really.
I know at times it's hard, but for me, just walk out the room and be in my own space at those times, because they are kids like any other kids at the end of the day, and they will pick up on that energy. So yeah,
absolutely. Well, before we end off, any other like words of advice you want to give the moms listening?
Just keep doing what you're doing, and on the hard days, just look back on the progress that your child's made, and they continue to make, because what you're doing is absolutely amazing, and you will get the results.
Thank you. Yes. Julie, would you mind putting up the PowerPoint? Thank you. Yeah. And, if you want to join Katie and other mothers just like her doing this program, fighting the good fight, please feel free to join the Doman Parent Support Group. There's a QR code there, and talk to your staff coach about joining, because it's really, I think it's really the new paradigm for mothers to really heal together and to be in community together so they don't have to feel alone. All right. Thank you, Katie, for being with us. We really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me on. Thank you.
Yes. And donate now, guys. All right. Spencer's coming back.
All right. Well, thank you, Morgan and Katie, for that presentation. I'll leave the QR code up there for one more second if anyone wants to take it. And by the way, the Doman Parent Support Group is included in the cost of coming to Doman International for an appointment. So if you come to Doman International, if you're on our Advanced Doman program, reach out to your staff coach and they can make sure that you are enrolled in the program. All right, let's go on to the next slide. So for everyone who's joining us, a bit later in this presentation, today is Giving Tuesday. It's the most important day of the year for nonprofits like Doman International. Today, any donation, but today and only today, any donation you make is matched through an organization called Global Giving, which is an incredibly generous nonprofit organization which matches the donations of donors to nonprofits like ours. It's also a vetting organization. It vets nonprofits like Doman International to show that we are, an ethical organization that uses donations in the right way. So any donation that you make today makes you eligible for certain raffles. So for example, if you donate, you can see up on the screen right now, any donation of $25 or more puts you into a raffle for winning 3 Doman Method books. So if you donate $25 today through Global Giving, that will make you eligible for these books. You can see it includes the Doman Method, From Special Needs to Wellness, Answering Autism, and From Immobility to Walking. Now, going on to the next slide, if you donate $50 or more, that will make you eligible for a consultation with me. That would include a single one-on-one consultation where we will talk about a complete cognitive program for your child. We can talk about reading as well if you have a well child. So it doesn't matter if your child has special needs or is a well neurotypical kid, we can design a program for your child. And by the way, this is also something that can be gifted. So if you make a donation of $50 or more and you don't need it, or you're a grandparent, you could gift it to someone else, a parent who would benefit from this. And then if we go to the last slide, so this is our big raffle of the day. any donation of $100 or more to Doman International through Global Giving today, but again, this is only today, will make you eligible for a 5-day, 4-night stay at Villa Katia in Tuscany. As Douglas said earlier, this is the villa where we have been seeing families since 1990.
1990.
Yeah.
Thousands of European and Middle Eastern families.
And as you can see from the photo, it's a beautiful villa in the heart of Tuscany. It's about 20 minutes from Pisa. It's an hour drive from Florence. You can see all the best cities of Tuscany within driving distance. Siena, San Gimignano, all of the dream sites that you would, it's a great place to bring the family or for a romantic getaway. So any donation of $100 or more makes you eligible for that raffle. And you can see there, there's a master bedroom, there's a cozy room also with 2 twin beds, which is great for kids. And it's there for a 5-day, 4-night stay in 2025. Basically, if you win this, we'll present you with the eligible dates and you can tell us which dates work for you. And of course, if you're a very generous person, you could win this and gift it to someone else. That would be truly generous. I don't know if I would be that kind if I won 5 days in Tuscany.
This is a no-brainer and probably a one-time only issue in that you're not going up against 3 million people, and most raffles. We'll be happy, if we could get 100 $100 donations. So maybe you're up against 10 people, 20 people, 100 people. You got a really great chance. People in casinos would say we're crazy for doing this, but it will be our pleasure. The villa is gorgeous. It has a beautiful terrace, a huge terrace where you could fit, 100 people probably. So an absolutely beautiful place. It has a front terrace, a back terrace. It has a real wood burning pizza oven. It's got, all the works for a typical Tuscan villa.
Yeah.
That's the pizza.
Yeah. And just to give you an idea of how few people you're going up against to win this raffle, I think we have 28 donors who have made a donation today. Now, not all of those may have made $100 donations either. So you're not going up against a large number of people in order to win this raffle. And remember, every donation that you make is, if you're in the US or the UK, is tax deductible, and it goes a long way to help Doman International. Every donation made today is going to be partially matched by Global Giving. Okay, so I think next we have, we're going to be bringing someone on to interview, and I think he is here. Antonio, I'm going to be adding you to the stage. Antonio, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, Spencer, perfectly.
Perfect. Dad, do you want to introduce Antonio?
Well, Antonio is a dear friend. A long-term friend. Antonio and his family have been a part of our work now for many decades.
Yeah, about 45 years.
Okay. And Antonio crept into our clinic at the age of 3. Having been diagnosed as having cerebral palsy, and his mother, a fabulous mother, and his fabulous father, did our program and did a fabulous job of it. And Antonio is a result of that. So, Antonio, you may want to talk about your mom and dad, because they are the real heroes here, as well as yourself. You worked very hard to get to where you are today.
Thank you, Douglas. Yeah, you're right. It's God placed me with the perfect set of parents, both my mom and dad, Patrick and Jacqueline Simonelli. Without them, I wouldn't be here talking to you guys or getting up and walking. They were the ones who allowed me to get walking reading, running, and talking in about 3 months after I started the program. And I was able to go to regular grade school. Then I came back on the program because I wanted to be a Major League Baseball player. I've always wanted to be a Major League Baseball player since I was about 5 years old. And my walking and vision my eyesight weren't perfect. And I always wanted to be a Major League pitcher. So I went on the program again, the Doman method. During high school, I did independent study high school, graduated high school while doing the Doman method. Was fortunate enough to get a academic scholarship to University of California at Berkeley, the Chancellor's Scholarship. It's the most prestigious scholarship they give to incoming freshmen. And they give the top 5% incoming freshmen. They offer it to. And fortunately, I think the admissions committee got it right because I ended up graduating in the top 5% with a BA in political science, highest honors, member of Phi Beta Kappa, and magna cum laude. And Douglas, I noticed this picture you have up here is a graduation picture of one of my law school graduations. This one, I'll just tell them in order. First, I went to UC Berkeley for law school for JD. And then this picture is taken in Singapore, where I was receiving 2 Masters of Law degrees, one from NYU and New York University in international law, and the other from the National University of Singapore Faculty of Law in corporate and financial services law. And that was a whole year, a wonderful year I spent over in Singapore. And I was fortunate enough that they offered me an academic scholarship to attend. And I really had a great time meeting a bunch of different lawyers from all different countries. And that was a really fun time. That's with he later became Dean Simon Chesterman of the National University of Singapore. He was working for NYU at the time. And that's my graduation picture of the NYU LLM.
Wow, look at that. And Antonio, I'm wondering, my dad mentioned that he remembers you creeping into the clinic. How do you know at what age did you start walking? How long did it take you to go from creeping to walking?
Oh, about 3 months.
Wow.
Everything's, and then running picked up soon after that. I mean, things were really quick with my walking, talking, reading, and running. And that's what the programs allowed me to study abroad in Singapore. And then when I came home, there was a case I took that no one else wanted to take. And sometimes lawyers can get a little fortunate that way when you can look at certain things and see things that other lawyers don't or don't think is a big deal, and you do. And I worked on a personal injury case, was able to get full policy on that personal injury case. And that big win allowed me to get going on investing. And I was reading about investing while I was reading on winning this case, because I knew, I remember my mom telling me, a fool and his money are soon parted. and I didn't want to be a fool. And so I invested it. My dad, I remember telling me, he said, Antonio, you can turn this, what you got. He said the case was worth a lot more, but it was capped. And I think maybe that's why some lawyers stayed out of it, because the policy limit was capped. And he said, this is worth $1 million. You couldn't get it because of the cap. If you invest it properly, you can turn it into $1 million. And fortunately, he was prophetic and right. I was able to turn that into $1 million investing and buy a house with cash. I now live in Missouri, Baldwin, Missouri. I went to WashU for a tax and LLM, tax LLM. I'm still working on it, and was able to buy a house for cash from those investments. And now I'm financially independent, and I can do what work I like to do, and basically go where I want to go and have a totally independent life.
Well, and Antonio, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for your generosity for Doman International. You are one of our most loyal contributors, and we are deeply appreciative. And in our early days when we were taking our Doman method course and wanting to put it onto videotape, which would be a requirement if we were going to present the course in other languages, such as Italian, Spanish, Arabic, Serbian, Russian, we'd have to videotape it so then we could dub it or subtitle it in those languages. And so on Global Giving, this same platform, I think it was in 2018, we started a campaign asking for $15,000 to put our course on video. Now, that was very little money to produce, a 3-day course, but we were able to do that in India, where we were fortunate to get professional prices, which are just a fraction of what we would have had to pay in the United States, which we could never have afforded. We started that campaign, and I think it was within 2 days, we got a call from Global Giving, which is an online platform. So they don't make calls; they just send things, via text. And they said, "Well, your entire project has been funded." And we said, "Really?" And they said, "Yeah, one person has funded the entire $15,000." And I said, "Well, who is that?" And they said, "A gentleman named Antonio Simonelli." And when I realized, of course, that this was the 3-year-old who had crept into our clinic with CP so many years ago, it really is a donation from heaven, Antonio, from your family, and from you as well. And since then, you have funded our research that we're doing in neuroscience at the University of Havana, for our neurological evaluation to validate our developmental profile for the first time in 60 years. We couldn't be doing that if it wasn't for your generosity. So we are deeply appreciative.
I feel blessed and thrilled that I'm able to give back to Doman International for all what they've done for myself and my family, making all our lives so much easier and give me the opportunity to pursue my goals and live a normal life.
Antonio, any thoughts or words of wisdom for parents out there?
Yes, the Doman method is basically your best option. And I would suggest to any parents listening who have a brain injured child of any age, of anything from autism to cerebral palsy, from dyslexia to any learning disability, to take the online course and to get your child, or could be a teenager, even on the Doman method as soon as possible, because it works. It gets amazing results. And my mom would always mention to me, she said, when we would come back there to Philadelphia, she'd say, every time we come back, I've always seen I haven't seen a kid that didn't improve. All these kids were improving, and it's because of the Doman method. That's why I'm able to, live the life I'm living and be doing what I'm doing and be have an independent life. And my mom had mentioned to me that a lot of times the biggest fear of people with parents of brain injured children is that they wonder what's going to happen to the brain injured child once they're gone, after the parents have passed away. And because of the Doman method, my parents didn't have to worry about it. They simply taught me what to do when they would no longer be here. Sadly, they both passed away. My father passed away about 6 years ago. My mom passed away about a year ago. And when they passed away, they didn't have any concerns. I remember last time I talked to my dad in person, he said, "Antonio, you're as good a lawyer as anybody out there, and you can manage a stock portfolio as anybody out there." So it's sort of like he sort of knew he had done his job, that to prepare me for the world and to succeed and be honorable. And I hope I can continue that in his memory and also my mom's memory.
Well, that's beautiful. I mean, having spoken to so many parents, the most common concern that I hear from parents about their child's future is, will my child be able to be independent? Will my child be able to live the fullest life that they can and that they deserve? So I think your story is touching, and your parents' story is beautiful.
Thank you. And yeah, I have been able to do that. I've wanted to be a lawyer since I was 11. I was able to go to law school, be a member of multiple bars, get into multiple bars, and practice law, and also got interested in investing while in college. And I've been able to do that. I've been able to do those both successfully. So I'm thrilled to be able to do what I'm like doing and do what I love doing and enjoy doing, and still be in great health in my 40s.
Well, that's great.
So also, Antonio, you have one of these, and every staff member wears a pin, in terms of what department they're in. Now, Spencer is wearing a pin here for the cognitive development department, but green and white are the colors of Doman International, as you can see from our sign. And so only donors who donate $15,000 or more have these green and white insignias. You have and should have several. Rosalind and I have them as well, as you can see here. So we've been donating, annually $15,000 or more, for many years, and we will continue to do so.
That's great, Douglas. And you've continued your father's work excellently and done a great job. And I think both your parents, Glenn and Katie, would be proud of what you and Spencer are doing.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely certain of that. Thank you very much.
Well, Antonio, we're running up against actually the time, basically. So please stick around. We're gonna move on now to some other people are gonna join us. But yeah, please stick around.
Thank you so much, Spencer.
Thank you, Antonio. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. So I think I can pull up the presentation. There we go. And I think we can go to the next slide, Julie. Or I'm supposed to give away a prize. Yep. Okay. Julie's reminding me. All right, Julie, we're supposed to be giving away our last prize of the day, right?
Yes, correct. The t-shirt. So before I say the winner, I just want to say we are in 16th place with 29 individual donors, raising about $22,597.
Wow.
Yeah.
And everyone, we said before, 2 years ago, we were in 15th place. Last year, we were in 16th place. So we've got to do 14th or better. Okay. Yeah. So
we're almost there.
every donation made today is matched. So please, if you haven't been able to donate yet, we'd greatly appreciate it.
And what I found out is depending on where we are in the leaderboard, narrows down how much we get in matching funds. So if we move anywhere past 16th, we actually lose some funds. So help us not lose the funds.
You mean if we get below 16, we're matched more?
We're matched more if we get higher on the leaderboard. So if we get 15th place, we'll get more matching. 14th place, more matching. If we move down, like up, 17th place, 18th place, we lose some matching.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Julie, does the number of donors affect that?
In order for donations to be matched, we need more individual donors. So if you've donated twice, that's great. It's also helpful. But we need individual. So if you, have a cousin who can put their name down instead, that's great.
Spouses, if you can give $100 today, if one spouse does 50 and the other does 50, that's really
well. Then let me add again, which is a no-brainer donation that anyone who donates $100, then it becomes a part of the raffle for the villa. Now, the villa, as we are offering it for 5 days and 4 nights, if that was, just an agency was renting it, a Tuscan villa like this, a very large Tuscan villa like this, on 20 acres of property, gated property, you'd be paying $4,000 or $5,000 a year. And, we have a partner nonprofit
for a week, $4,000 to $5,000 a week.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So if we have partner nonprofit organizations that do silent auctions of the villa, and they've brought in as much as $11,500. So it's a real bargain for $100. Now, can I also talk about the $3,000, or do we have a slide for that?
We have a slide for that.
All right.
And we just have to quickly announce the winner of the T-shirt, which was our last raffle. So, Julie, do we have the winner of the T-shirt?
Yeah, the winner is Mo Jesus.
All right, Mo. All right, so Mo gets the Doman International T-shirt.
Yeah.
All right. So, Julie, why don't we move on to the next slide? Oh, so but yeah, before we get to the villa, I wanted to just quickly give some information on how to be in contact with Doman International. And so this is specifically for parents who are interested in learning more about Doman International's work. If you have a child with special needs and you have questions about what the Doman method is, if it can help your child, how it would work, how Doman International courses and appointments work, the best person for you to reach out to is Colleen Hudson, and that is Colleen's email address. And I think Colleen's going to be joining us here. Do you mind if Colleen takes your seat for a minute or two?
You too, Douglas.
All right, Colleen.
All right. Hello.
So Colleen is the first person who talks to new parents, as they come to, when they want to learn more about Doman International. So, Colleen, do you want to talk maybe a little bit about what you do and, how parents can get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am privileged to speak with families from all over the world. Anyone who speaks English, besides India, is my territory. And I love talking to families to explain to them what the Doman method is, how we can help families, the extensive experience we have, all of the results that our families have achieved, because I know in talking to families that there isn't a whole lot of hope out there. There's a lot of status quo. There's a lot of adjusting expectations, and I think that's really counter to a parent's job. So it's a big privilege to me to talk to families and tell them, what we can help them with.
Great. And so, yeah, I'm putting up here again. There's Colleen's contact information. Colleen, do you mind just giving your phone number?
Absolutely. It is 814-232-8668. And you can email us too. You can direct message us through Instagram. I see all of those messages as well. And we can connect. The number I just gave you, 814-232-8668, is also a WhatsApp number. So if you're overseas, send me a WhatsApp and we'll talk soon.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, Colleen.
You bet. My pleasure.
Thank you. Okay. So yeah, if you have any questions about what the Doman method is, how it can help your child, very often parents have questions about specific symptoms that their child has. Can our treatment help the child? Reach out to Colleen and she will help you. All right. I guess we can go now, Julie, to the next slide. Oh, one important announcement. So Colleen, in addition to being our representative, is also the longest, I don't know if she even knows this, she's the longest continuous monthly donor that Doman International has.
Sustaining donor.
Yeah, she's given every month for 33 months. Now, global giving, which we're asking everyone to kindly donate through today, allows for donations, but people can also sign up as sustaining donors. Now, I think for today, Julie, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think that it's best for today, because your donations are matched, for you to make a donation today. But if you wanted to become a monthly donor in the future, maybe let's say in 2025, you can do that through global giving. You can select the monthly amount that you'd like to give, and your donations will be given automatically. So Colleen is an inspiring example of what a monthly donor can be. Okay, yeah, there's no extra matching for monthly donations. So for today, we're asking everyone to make a donation for Giving Tuesday. All right, well, here we just wanted to talk one more time about the big prize for today, the Villa Katia, our Tuscany villa. Any donation today, $100 or more, makes you eligible for this prize. And I understand you have some announcement to make about that.
Yeah, there are actually two different donation items as a part of this. The first one, as I mentioned, is a $100 donation, puts you in line, for a raffle for getting the villa, which, as I said, is a $4,000 donation. People have paid as much as $11,500 for it. So it's an incredible opportunity. But the other opportunity, which is guaranteed, is that if anyone donates $3,000, they are guaranteed to have the villa. And so, if we have 10 $3,000 donations, which would probably put us on the top of all of the 1,000 organizations in global giving, all 10 of those people would receive the villa. So it's wonderful, because when we're not there, the villa is available for our guests. And of course, when we're there, and we know when we're there, those dates are booked, but all the other dates of the year are available. Now, we have one winner already, and this is a donation really from heaven, because it comes from the Yarostar Foundation. The Yarostar Foundation is one of our most loyal and generous contributors, a nonprofit organization that raises money and provides 12 $1,000 scholarships for our families on the Advanced Doman program. So 12 families every year are awarded a $1,000 scholarship for their tuition, which then makes the program significantly more affordable for them. So Yarostar, which donates the $12,000 to us a year, has donated $4,000 today, already done. And in the process of doing that, they then have the villa, as we have described to you. And that's beautiful, because then, as a nonprofit organization, they can then raffle off the villa or do a silent auction as other nonprofit organizations do. And by the way, if you have a nonprofit and you want to auction off the villa, as many nonprofits have done, then don't hesitate to get in contact with Julie Mahan. She will tell you how to do that. So now Yarrowstar gives us $4,000, which will go to 4 $1,000 scholarships for our families. And then they have the villa, which now they can do as a silent auction and hopefully get $4,000, $6,000 more to help them in the wonderful things that they're doing. So the Yarrowstar Foundation was founded by 2 of our parents from our program with a special needs child. This is Rajiv and Jaina Samaru. They're currently living and working in Nigeria, and yet their generosity, comes across the South Pacific Ocean and is deeply appreciated, along with their other projects for helping people in Africa as well. So wonderful people, fabulous parents, and their generosity is appreciated by us. And now I suppose there are probably more than 40 families that have received these scholarships from the Yarrowstar Foundation.
Yeah, and you can see there on the screen the Yarrowstar Foundation's website, yarrowstarfoundation.org, if you want to learn more. And then I'm also putting up here, if you want to have more information about the villa, you can contact Julie at domaninternational.org. All right. Well, I guess, yeah. So just to, let's just wrap up on some of the announcements that we've made today. So, first of all, any donation that you make today is matched on Global Giving. So the most important thing that you could do today is to give on Global Giving. And when you do that, your donation is not just matched. If your donation is $100 or more, you're entered into the Villa raffle. If your donation is $50 or more, you're entered into a raffle to have a one-on-one consultation with me. $25 or more, you're entered into the raffle for the 3 Doman Method books. So keep that in mind when you make your donations today. And to wrap up, I wanted to ask you about, I know that you're a yearly donor to Doman International. Are you giving today?
Yes, Rosalind and I have both donated $2,000 each, but we've already donated $2,000 in the July fundraiser and another 2,000 for that. So I think we're up to 16,000, but we'll give another 9,000 before the end of the year.
Wow. Yeah. So I also wanted to say, I didn't know how much you were giving today, but Melissa and I are also giving $2,000 each.
Wow. Wonderful.
And we gave, I think, $1,500 for the earlier fundraiser earlier this year. So, yep. So
we put our money where our mouth is.
That's right. Okay. So anyway, everyone, if you're unable to give this year, we're sharing this video on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. So if you're unable to give, you could share this video on your timeline or send this information to family and friends. So that would be very, very helpful. If you have any questions, as I put up, if you have any questions about donating today or at any time, if you're interested in the villa, reach out to, oh, sorry, I put up the wrong information. Yep, if you want any information about donations or about the villa specifically, reach out to Julie, our fundraising director, at julie@domaninternational.org. Julie, our goal for today is $50,000. We still have about 9 hours left in the day. I'm going to add you, Julie. How are we doing so far, Julie, in terms of donations?
All right. So we are in 17th place again with $22,666.
All right. All right, everyone. Our goal is $50,000. So anything that you can give today would be greatly appreciated. Any final thoughts, words from you?
Yeah, again, the opportunity for the villa of $3,000 is a great gift, by the way. You can give to family members or friends or business associates. And we're not doing it just once. We're doing it as many times as possible. So three opportunities to have a villa in Tuscany, is yours. And again, the raffle is just so easy.
Julie, anything that you want to add? I'm sure I've probably forgotten something.
Yeah, so I also want to tell everyone that we have also received a generous donation from Mr. Lenato for a new respiratory machine. It is valued at $3,000 and it will be available for our families to rent. If you have any questions about renting it or you're interested in renting it, you can contact your staff coach and they will point you in the right direction. But what a generous donation for a machine we desperately need.
Yeah, and let me mention, Julie, that the Lenato family, an Italian family, Giuseppe, a trisomy 21 child on our program for years, who did wonderfully well. His father, out of the kindness of his own heart, designed a beautiful respiratory machine, which he makes available to our families around the world. And, technologically, it's perfect, for our purposes. And children who have learned to breathe, in some cases, have survived where they would have been taken by upper respiratory infection. Others have learned to walk. Others have learned to talk as a result of their respiratory program. So Gaetano Lenato, an absolutely wonderful father who have designed these machines and sends them to our families around the world, has donated this machine very, very generously.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Lenato. Julie, anything else you'd like to say?
Just that. Let me see. To stay tuned for the win. If you won a raffle prize, the winner of the villa, the winner of the consultation with Spencer, the winner of the books will be announced at the Start the Week with Spencer on December 16th. And following that webinar, you will receive an email from me to coordinate your prize.
And how would they attend the webinar with Spencer?
I believe it's live on both Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, it's live on Facebook and Instagram, 11 o'clock New York time every Monday.
Awesome.
Well, Julie, thank you very much. Julie's the hero of today. Douglas and I just show up, and she does everything else. So thank you, Julie, for all your coordination.
You're very welcome.
Reach out to Julie, and she'll help you.
Yes, please. You have the rest of the day to make a donation, which will bring in funds for our kids and families.
Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Julie. Great job.
Well, everyone, thanks so much for joining today. We really appreciate all of your generosity. I mean, already this looks like it's going to be the best Giving Tuesday we've had. So thanks so much to everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.